Hello, folks. This is Spencer Ruchti. I am the author events manager at Third Place Books here in Seattle, Washington. On behalf of the bookstore, I'm very pleased to welcome you to this conversation between Tyrone Muggsy Bogues and his co-author, Jake Uitti. They are here to talk about Muggsy's first ever autobiography, Muggsy, My Life from a Kid in the Projects to the Godfather of Small Ball. First of all, I want to invite you all to use the chat window at the bottom of your screen and say hello. Let us know where you're calling in from. Third Place Books is really proud to host a number of exciting virtual and in-person events this season. If you're not familiar, we're a series of beautiful independent bookstores in Seattle with locations in Lake Forest Park, Ravenna, and Seward Park. You can go check out our full events calendar and sign up for our email newsletter for bookish happenings all around the Seattle area at thirdplacebooks.com. Even if you're not in Seattle, virtual events are here to stay, so keep your eye out for more discussions like the one you'll be seeing tonight. As I mentioned before, the chat window at the bottom of your screen is open, and we encourage you to use it respectfully. Tonight, we also have some time for your questions, so please do, if you have questions for our authors this evening, submit those to the Q&A window, which is separate from the chat window at the bottom of your screen. We also offer closed captioning. For those of you who are interested, you can just hit the live transcript button at the bottom of your window to turn that feature on or off. And with some of that housekeeping out of the way, it is time to introduce tonight's speakers. Tyrone Muggsy Bogues is the shortest player ever to play in the NBA at 5 feet 3 inches. Bogues played point guard for 4 teams during his 14-season career, and although he's best known for his 10 seasons with the Charlotte Hornets, he has also played for the Washington Bullets, the Golden State Warriors, and the Toronto Raptors. A native of Baltimore and a graduate of Wake Forest University, Bogues was inducted into WFU Sports Hall of Fame in 2001 and remains Wake's all-time leader in both steals and assists. He currently serves as the president of the Muggsy Bogues Family Foundation, which helps at-risk youth and families beat the odds stacked against them. Now joining Muggsy in conversation is his co-writer, Jake Uitti, a lifelong basketball fan who was once dubbed the, quote, best under 6 foot center in the country, which in Jake's words feels, quote, a bit like an overstatement today, but Jake's work has appeared in Vanity Fair, Spin, The Nation, and many other publications. He is the creator of Video Bebop and the author of the Northwest Know-How book about beer, published by Sasquatch Books. Muggsy, the book, is packed with all kinds of great stories and photos from Muggsy's legendary career. You have forwards by both Steph Curry and Alonzo Mourning, and in an introduction by Jake himself, Bogues delves deep into his life, reflecting on battles with Michael Jordan and playing alongside Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, and other generational hoop stars of the 80s and 1990s. He also shares far-ranging anecdotes from his playoff runs in Charlotte, his stint coaching in the WNBA, and his appearance in several TV shows and movies, including the 1996 blockbuster Space Jam, which I have watched personally dozens and dozens of times, I'm pretty sure, in my lifetime. We are so excited to have these two with us tonight. Without further ado, let's welcome Muggsy Bogues and Jake Uitti to your screen.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hello.
Jake, what's up, buddy?
Thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you for being here, Muggsy. Spencer, just to correct one small thing, this is actually Muggsy's second autobiography. He did one in the mid 90s, about halfway through his career. And there's other books about Muggsy too, The Boys of Dunbar, about his historic high school team. And so I guess, I'll start the conversation there. Muggsy, what is it like to be someone that everybody wants to hear about, that you have so many words spilled over you, including all the ones that we did together for this book. How do you comprehend that? No one's written a book about me. What is it like to be in that position?
Oh man, I'm just honored and blessed that someone that's interested in my story and my journey. And as you alluded to, doing the book early on in my career in 93, 94, the Inner Land of Giants, it was the beginning of my career. My pops had just passed away, along with one of my good friends, and Reggie Lewis, who passed away. So when they came to me to present that idea, and I dove all into it, but at the same time, it was more of I don't want to say an angry book, but it was more of a lack of the beginning. This one is more of a guy that was passionate and that was just chasing his passion each and every day. It's about relationships, and I wanted to more or less put it out there, not just the relationship with the players that I play for, but also current players today that have impacted their lives and relationships in terms of me and my wife rekindling, those moments. And so I wanted to kind of put it out there because we all go through things in life, obstacles to overcome, people not feeling good about themselves. So this is a prime time for me to kind of reintroduce myself to let them know part of my journey, what took me to get to who I am.
Yeah, it's so, I don't know if it's because we started working on this project together or what, but you're everywhere now. You're in all these commercials. Anyone who's been watching the play-in game and the end of the season has seen you in the new NBA 75 commercials, and it's sort of great. There's people have interest in you from all different angles. I'm a lifelong basketball player, and I loved watching your career and everything. But the book is as much a metaphor for success and striving to achieve your goals as it is a book about basketball. And you must have people come up to you left and right when you're in a restaurant, when you're buying jeans or whatever, that who want to say thank you. What is it like to hear those thanks so often?
Well, like I said, we all go through certain things, but them looking at me through their lens, seeing a guy that's overcoming, beating the odds, which many people didn't give me a chance of doing. They can relate, and just being an ordinary individual. And I just happen to be have a warm personality as well.
It's true. I can't imagine being famous. I'm reading a friend of yours books now, the Charles Oakley book, which I bought at Third Place Books, actually. Shout out Third Place Books. And there's a moment where he talks about being at a concert with Mark Jackson and a bunch of other people, and people just constantly coming up to him. And I don't know what that's like, but I would imagine that I wouldn't be nearly as gracious and graceful as you are. Does that take a special type of energy? Does that come naturally? Where does your sort of gregarious, welcoming side come from?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with my upbringing, coming from my mom, the love that she instilled in me, just enjoying people. I'm a people person, and I just appreciate what they admire, and for them to show that type of respect, and just takes a little minute and a little second out of your time to show the gratitude that you appreciate what they aspired in you. I mean, it's just a natural thing for me, and being able to, live someone life through their dreams, and being able to do that. And, a lot of folks have that sometimes desire to want to overcome something that they have fearful of doing, and seeing someone being able to do it and be perseverance through it. I mean, they just appreciate it, and I appreciate them. So that's what makes it so easy for me. I don't take it for granted, and I appreciate what God has done for me, and I just want to return that favor, make them feel as good as they make me feel.
It's so nice of you. So the book is about your career. It's about all the lives you've touched, both personally and professionally. I'm sure that there are sort of many answers to this next question, but just sort of off the top of your mind, is there a favorite relationship or a favorite interaction you've had with someone in your life that you think about when you're cooking dinner or whatever these days, just sort of pops into your head, something that you're very grateful for from your career in terms of a relationship with another person?
Well, I'm just grateful for a lot of people who touched my life, and it always starts from the beginning. And I always want to make sure I give them people their roses while they're still here, and in terms of the appreciation that they had and the impact that they had on my life. And it started with, my childhood blessing, Mr. Leon Howell, who gave me the opportunity to learn this game, to understand it, to navigate through it at that height that I was able to, be, and not look at it as a disadvantage, and look at it as still as a gift that God has given me. It's all about the skill set and the IQ level and the ability to impact it, no matter how tall or short or big you are. So from him, being able to have that impact, and then from Coach Wade, being at Dunbar, being that type of mentor, that father figure, especially with all of us, being there at the time, as you alluded to, the Baltimore boys, myself, the late Reggie Lewis, Reggie Williams, and David Wingate, and for us to be there at that same time under one particular program, and then for us to go on and to make it all the way through it, I mean, that was something unheard of.
2 years undefeated. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years undefeated, and it was no easy feat. So with those opportunities that you're thankful for, that you always kind of send the praises out to. But again, and of course, my mom and my dad, even though my dad got put in prison when I was 12, but those people has impacted me and impacted my life and gave me the confidence to where I can believe that anything is possible.
I played basketball in high school, and as Spencer introduced me, in some newspaper, I was about 6 feet, maybe 5'11" at some point, and I played center actually. The center came out and was around the 3-point line a lot of passing and stuff. But I played basketball as a younger person, and at some point in my life I wanted to be in the NBA, and then at some point I realized I certainly wouldn't be. What was it like for you as a younger athlete? When you're in the Dunbar games, are you thinking, or in practices, are you thinking about the league? Are you thinking about, a journey potentially to the NBA? Or are you very focused on the now? What is it like for someone who eventually makes it to the league? What are you thinking about in the moment, in every game and every practice? Is that long view part of your attention, or is it sort of more streamlined in the moment?
No, it's more or less in the moment. I'm not thinking well ahead of anything. I'm not looking at the NBA. I'm pretty much within that moment. And especially when I was in high school, my junior year, was no need to think anything beyond what you was doing at that particular time. Being at that school, and that we were so focused on just winning, trying to be that best team that we possibly can. And then my senior year, knowing that this was the process in terms of being recruited, and this is the time now thinking about where you may possibly go. Now you start to reshift and think in that regards. And that's what I did. I took it, I kind of compartmentalized it and pretty much kept it in that order and not really looked ahead. And even when I got to college, my very first year, it was just all about college. Second year as well, until I got to that senior year when I felt like, okay, now I'm putting myself in a position where I can now think about that next level. And so I always stay within the moment.
Did that happen maybe first when you were playing in the international basketball? You played in, it wasn't the Olympics exactly. It was the international, one of the international competitions.
It was a goodwill game. It was
the
game before the Olympics.
Is that when maybe things started to really materialize, when you're playing against the best in the country and even the best in the world? Was that a major turning point for you?
It was a really major turning point, not only for me, but for the people on the level of the NBA. I think them seeing me in that setting, being able to be successful as well.
Right.
Kind of created some, maybe it still had doubts, but it created a vision where this could possibly be real for him to be running our program here on this level. So going through all the journey, the camps, as far as Chicago and the Combine, Portsmouth, put myself again in a position to where now you can start thinking about that next level. But the junior after that coming back, because that season after that game and winning the gold medal, that was in the summertime, and we was going into our senior year. So it again allowed me to start transitioning to those type of thoughts that now this is a really possibility of it coming to a fruition.
It's interesting in going throughout your career, you sort of came up against the same pattern every time. Like, people sort of doubting you, maybe you weren't the first guy to start necessarily, on the Goodwill games at Wake, and even your high school career had a little bit of tumultuousness starting off, with the first high school. What was it like to see that pattern over and over again? It happened with Washington and happened with Charlotte when you first got. Did you just sort of sigh and roll your eyes? Were you excited about the challenge each time it came across? What was it like to just face that sort of disbelief and then to always overcome it and to just kind of continuously throughout your life?
Well, I always had confidence within myself. I knew what I was capable of doing in terms of running a team.
Yeah.
And being on a team is a threat for any point guard because of the IQ level, the way I'm able to impact the game and make guys around me better. And I become that coach, that extension of a coach.
Right.
So it was just a matter of time. I knew it was just a matter of, in terms of the coaches getting an understanding of what they have and what I was capable of doing, because they haven't seen it. And this is the first time they had the opportunity of coaching me and being around me.
Right.
So it was just a matter of having that moment of waiting my opportunity. But again, I knew what the task, I mean, the stakes were at hand, and I knew I was going to persevere through it all. And I just had to wait that opportunity when it presented itself.
I worked for a number of years. I worked in restaurants, before my writing career sort of took off. And I would have dreams of like, there's too many people in the restaurant. There's too many, like it's going haywire. Did you ever have work dreams, stressful work dreams about the NBA when like Larry Johnson wouldn't catch a pass or everybody? Did you ever have work? Do people dream about the NBA who are in the NBA?
Well, no, I dream about, no, I don't think you're dreaming about being in the NBA once you're in the NBA.
Like when you're asleep, I mean, like you're asleep and you're like, oh my God, Alonzo Mourning's not.
Not catching my passes.
Yeah.
I mean, you may go through those periods, but not necessarily in that regard. Once you're there, I mean, all sorts of things come to your mind. I'm not a guy that dream a lot. I visualize, those type of things in terms of that. But in terms of dreaming, I leave them to the dreamers. Those who don't put actions behind it. I like to visualize, put actions behind it, and go for it. But as you sleep, you have no control of those dreams.
Yeah.
And I have other dreams besides, dreaming about Larry Alonzo not catching the ball, because that's my less worries right there.
Was there, you've played, you're a star of stars, at least in my mind. You can't, like I say in the intro, you can't tell the story of basketball without Muggsy Bogues. But you also played with a bunch of stars, Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, Vince Carter, Tracy, all those people. Is there adjustment periods, getting to know people with such talent? Is it harder to get to know a role player on the court? What is it like for you to meld, with those big talents?
Well, for me, I had the ability to understand what they brought to the table.
Right.
And being that point guard, I knew what their strengths and weaknesses are, and I try to make sure that I put them in a position to be successful more times than none. And having that understanding of that, it kind of was a match made in heaven in terms of what they brought to the table and what I was able to offer. So having that understanding, it never clashed, it never was a problem, because as you being a point guard, my first responsibility, is to make sure those guys get the basketball in the right place at the right time, where it could be, as easy as possible. So it never was a problem playing with big talent, a lot of talent. I think I always strive when I'm around a lot of talent, because you add that on with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That allows you to, do things on the court, to where you can make up for certain things where there's less talent around you.
I imagine some amount of your star power, your skill as a point guard is innate. You're sort of born with that ability to facilitate and sort of be intuitive and understand another player. But were you a film person? Did you watch a lot of film on guys? Did you pick it up in practice? How did you get really accustomed to another player that you were going to spend a lot of time with?
Well, we didn't start doing that until college. We started getting film in high school. I mean, we just had word of mouth who this player was, and the coaches would give you a little idea about this and that. So you didn't really have film to watch on that particular player. But once you got to college, it was more technology, more I guess on a higher level, where they was able to go out and recruit and look at those type of teams. And of course, I watch film relentlessly. Look at guys' strengths and weaknesses. One thing about players, they don't change their tendencies. And having an idea of what they like to do, how they dribble the basketball. I mean, if you can be able to disrupt that, and for me, that was information where I can be able to disrupt them getting into their offense as quickly as they possibly want.
And what has it been like for you as a coach? You after your career, you coached the WNBA, you coached in high school. What is it like to try to impart, because they say like, Michael Jordan wasn't ever going to be a coach because his expectations and the way he demanded things were beyond his ability to express them, for example. But you were an excellent coach. You were a professional coach. What is it like to verbally and, try to direct people in that way?
Well, I felt like I've been a coach my whole time I've been playing, being a point guard, being an extension of a coach, knowing the game plan, how to execute the game plan, how to prepare a game plan, and being able to just now do it as the instructor as opposed to the participant. I mean, you just want to try to get everybody on board, but not only that, you first got to understand what their skill set is. You can all have a plan, but if your plan doesn't fit their skill set, then that plan ain't gonna work. So for me, I always wanted to get to understand what they brought to the table, and I can implement a game plan where it all fits for everybody. And having that understanding, allowed me to be able to teach the game at a high level and teach it, very successfully, as well as high school, the WNBA. Never had the opportunity to coach it on the men's side of it, but again, mentored a lot of guys, kind of giving them the do's and the don'ts about this game. Always, feel like it's a teaching moment.
And you're around the Hornets still. You're an ambassador for the team, so I imagine, you must run into LaMelo Ball or whoever, occasionally, and probably give a little pointer and stuff like that too. But okay, so what was it like? What's it like to have the book out now? You're doing a bunch of interviews, this one included. What was it like to, when you got it in the mail? I don't know if they sent you a box or what, but you got the book in your hand. What was your first thought?
Oh, it's here. We finally got it done. And it was so thrilling and rewarding to see the actual, cover and the hard work that you and I put in.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, see it to come to a fruition, and then also having all the participants that took part of it. Because those are something that you can't take for granted, but they was willing to take part of it. The people that means a lot to you, we was able to now put it all in paper, put it down on paper, tell some stories. Like I said, people go through certain things in life. I don't want to give it all away, but in terms of what is in the book, is again, like I said, it's a kid that had a passion, who was very passionate about that passion, and who chased it each and every day. And being able to have those type of relationships with individuals currently, as well as during my time, it's just, it's amazing, a blessing to be here, to be witness it, and to still be part of it.
Yeah, my phone was ringing off the hook with famous people. My wife and brother-in-law were starting to get a little jealous. It's a testament to who you are, both as a player and how you helped people along the way, and just as an individual. Vince Carter, Charles Oakley, Steph Curry, Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson. These people were calling me and they wanted to participate, and they had such great things to say, which is, how the title came about, the Godfather of small ball. You are the person who's connected to all these different people, and I'm sure has done a favor, and now they can't refuse. So in some way, it was just amazing to be around and to sort of feel that energy of someone who so many people are thankful for, and that just, you are you, and you walk around and you are you every day. And that just, little feather in the cap. You probably don't think about it all the time, but I imagine that must be gratifying.
It is. And, it really is self-rewarding for me, especially when people actually see you in person. They actually get to see you and like, oh man, you really that small. They think I'm a little taller. They think 5'3". I'm like, yeah, how tall you think 5'3" is? Cameras don't lie. Cameras ain't gonna make you expand. But those are the good things that I love when people come up to you and kind of tell you those type of appreciations of the things that I've done. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to put it out, because we have so many kids, and I haven't played since 2000, and a lot of kids maybe see me just in the movie Space Jam,
right,
as opposed to me playing against these bigger and taller players that was superstars in the league, just to giving them an idea that it is possible, just a matter of having the confidence and believing in yourself and taking it to the level and impacting it the way that you see fit. It may not be the game of basketball. I mean, it'd be something else that you're, that you feeling, lack of, or you feeling that you had some sort of deficiency about it. But to overcome it is to actually go out there and do it, and not care what others think about you, and you more or less care about what you think about yourself.
Yeah.
So confidence, that's what I want to make sure everybody has.
I guess that's, before we open up the questions here, I guess maybe that would be my last question for you is, we all, as human beings, we're all insecure, whether we're overweight, whether we don't like how we look at a certain time, whether we're whatever, physical insecurity or even mental insecurity or whatever. How did you, get over that? Everybody, when they talk with you, talk about something that other people might feel insecure about, being shorter, did that take any time to allow yourself to be comfortable with that? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how did you feel comfortable in your own skin, given that reality, I guess?
Well, because I knew where I came from. You know, my mom was only 4'11", my dad was 5'5", my brother was 5'6", and wasn't nobody over 5'7". So why would I think I was going to be 6 feet tall? So I embraced it early on, and relished at it, and I made the best of it. And even though I want to pursue this game that many felt should be only played by bigger and taller players, I didn't care. I felt like, this game is meant for whoever had the ability to play it. And by having that understanding and having that confidence in it and the ability to do it, that was just icing on the cake for me. And being able to take it each level from elementary to junior high school. You remember we didn't have middle school back then. So junior high school and then high school and then college, and played with the, what they consider the best, what they not consider, which is the best league in the world,
Mhm.
which is the NBA, and being able to play it on that the stage, and to take it all the way there, to be the first to ever do it.
Yeah. And only still, there, as people have told me in the interviews, there will never be another Muggsy Bogues. Dick Vitale said it, the great Dick Vitale. So
I hope they're wrong. I hope they're wrong. I like to
and,
see it in my lifetime. I really
and that's
would.
what's so great about you too. Many people don't want their records broken, but you're as gracious as anyone to be open to that. And that just speaks to your character and how admirable you are as a person. And so
Well, they
I
always
think,
say, oh, you welcome. They always say that, that one before you.
yeah,
So if we can give someone that idea that, the game is global now, we got people in the Philippines and
yeah,
all over the world thinking about playing this game. And, over there, they're not as tall as one would say or would
sure,
think.
right.
They that fun size is like I am. So, who knows?
Who knows? Well, thank you, Muggsy. And Spencer, I guess we'll open it up to questions. And if you got
Yeah, we have questions from the audience. A few questions from me. I think actually the managing partner of Third Place Books is watching right now. I believe he has a question.
Robert.
First, hello to Robert, who's watching probably from the office over yonder that way.
Big fan of
well, first I just want to thank you two for this wonderful conversation so far. My question to start us off is, for both of you, I think it's applicable to anyone who writes a biography, but especially with someone with a storied career like Mr. Bogues. But how do you divide your life and career into chapters? Like, what were those discussions between the two of you like as you were starting to write the book?
Yeah, Muggsy has so many parts of his career, so it sort of made sense to go from the very beginning, getting his first basketball. That's how the first chapter opens up, and to just how it progressed. Getting the friendships early on with Reggie Williams, who's kind of his partner in basketball crime for many, many years growing up, and then transitioning into the years in high school. And Muggsy's high school career he played on the best high school team ever, and still remains so. Back-to-back undefeated seasons, national championships, local championships. And so I think some part of an athlete's career lends itself to those chapters along the way. And Muggsy had a storied life afterwards, between coaching, between rekindling with his wife after 10 years, getting married in a surprise wedding on his 50th birthday, which is just a beautiful story. And
there's a wonderful picture of it too that I happen to be open to.
There you go.
Too. Oh.
So we didn't labor over that part. They sort of broke down and sort of made sense in a lot of ways, depending on the teams that he played for at given years, and because he was one of the first players ever for the Hornets when they expanded. So that he's with a brand new franchise, so that lends itself to a chapter, and then the development of that franchise and different draft picks like Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, those sort of lended itself to those chapters. So that's actually something that we labored over, I would say.
Yeah, well, wonderful. I just wanted to also point out, because I know a lot, the book just came out this week. A lot of people don't have it yet, but there are these lovely little sections titled Memory Lane, in which people from Muggsy's life come out and they give these little anecdotes about, like, times when he helped them, through their own trials, or just like stories about, like, this is what it was like growing up with Muggsy. I love this one with Larry Johnson, where he talks about, here, I just want to read a section of it. He says, Muggsy doesn't like when I tell this story. Sorry, Muggsy. But this is what he said to me. It was midway during my first season, the 30th or 40th game. The Rookie of the Year award was teetering between Dikembe Mutombo and me, and it was just me and Muggsy in the gym. We were the only two. Muggs all of a sudden went, "You want to win Rookie of the Year?" And I said, "Yeah, motherfucker, I want to win Rookie of the Year." All of a sudden, I went from scoring about 16 points a game to over 20. These are great anecdotes. I mean, it must have been such it must have been such a surprise to, Jake, were you collecting these? Was the publisher collecting these? I mean, I'm curious where these came from.
Yeah, Muggsy was really great about connecting me with those players, Vince Carter, Larry Johnson, things like that. And they would call me and I would get like unknown number. And I was like, that must be someone very famous. And so I would talk to them for, I don't know, 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever the conversation turned into. And they would have all these stories, like Alonzo Mourning in the forward talks about, he had this sort of contract dispute to start off his career with the Hornets, because the way contracts were for rookies was different than they are now for those who follow basketball. And Alonzo got on the plane a few games into the season, finally after the contract was done, and Muggsy was like the only person to put his arm around him, and it's kind of remarkable and speaks to Muggsy's character. Everybody's giving Alonzo, the rookie who demands all this money and is late to the season, kind of a hard time, and he says, "Hey, big fella, sit next to me." And so that's where the title came from, The Godfather of Small Ball, because Muggsy was so generous and so open and so welcoming and bringing people in. And so people who had felt that in their careers, thanks to Muggsy, were more than welcome or more than willing to share that with me without much prodding. And I'm happy and thankful to say. And again, it's, all of this is a testament to who Muggsy is as a person and a player.
Oh, did you have any, Muggsy, anything you wanted to say? It looks like you were, you had some thoughts, or you're getting a little bit emotional. I apologize.
Oh, no, I would just, well, you always gonna get emotional when my guys, you hear a response from them. But now just listening to, the conversation in terms of what the guys were saying and how you were able to, interact with these guys. And one thing about me, I'm always, it's about culture, especially every team that I'm on. I'm always want to make sure that the culture is right. And those was the things that, like I say, as leaders do. And Zoe and LJ, those guys, they understood that. And that's why they was welcome.
That's great. We have a question from Kendra in the audience who asks, what do you miss most from your playing days?
Well, probably just the salary, the way they are now. Other than that, not much, because the game has changed. I appreciate the game what it is. I appreciate the time that I played it. It was, the game was totally different. It was more physical. I'm not saying that it's not entertaining and exciting today, because it really is. But it was just totally different when I played it. I don't miss it. I love watching the guys that, where the skill set is today. You got 7-footers, bringing the basketball up, shooting threes, where now era where 7-footers play with their back towards the basket, waiting for the ball to come inside. So that's how far the game has come, and I enjoy it. So I don't miss it in that regard, but I wouldn't mind the salary.
Yeah. We have another question from Robert, who says, the literature of basketball is so rich, and there are some truly great basketball books and memoirs. This book definitely joins that list. Did you guys have any books you admired or you were thinking of while you were working on this book?
Well, it's funny. I remember being, I don't know, around 11 years old, or maybe a little older, 13 or 14, and getting Muggsy's first book. I remember being at a school library, or like one of those book sales at school, and getting In the Land of Giants, not knowing, some 20 years later that I would be helping to write his second. But I just, I'm reading The Last Enforcer by Charles. I'm pointing to my own table here. The Last Enforcer by Charles Oakley. I just read the Kevin Garnett autobiography, the KG A to Z, which is quite good. Breaks of the Game is really good. Another sports book, it's not basketball, but Friday Night Lights is one of my favorite books just ever, and that's about high school football in Texas. So yeah, and there's actually like a slew of basketball books that come out recently. The Giannis book is on my queue to read, and Blood in the Garden is another book I want to read. But Robert's right, there is a great history Drive by Larry Bird is quite good.
Mhm.
So those are the ones that are in my sphere. Some happened before working with Muggsy, and some since. But yes, something about sports and about basketball and certainly baseball and other sports that really lend itself to writing. There's inherent excitement, inherent drama in the games, and a lot of big name people involved. So I think that helps. But yeah, I hope people think that this one has a lasting
Yeah, absolutely.
reputation in that realm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it comes from a great publisher. They're going to take care of you. I mean, that's a big deal. Yeah. Muggsy, are there any books that stand out to you?
I mean, sports books, not necessarily. And my book, of course, as Jacob, I'm always gonna
The
rep
Boys of
that.
Dunbar, yeah.
The Boys of Dunbar, of course, and then one that actually they Rappaport had wrote. He did a book about the small man in the game of basketball. But those sports books, I don't get too involved in it unless it's real. I just read the Charles Oakley Last Enforcer. I just read that book. Of course, a lot of great stories in there I told him about, which I knew some of personally, but it was just great to see some of the stuff that I didn't even know about, Oak and his uncle and so forth and all the things that happened, in his life. But those are the books that I kind of relate to. So hopefully people can look at mine and get something from it and put that in the same category.
We have a question from Donna as well, who asks, as a young person, you excelled at many sports. So why was it that you chose basketball?
Great question.
Well, it's a good question because wrestling was definitely one of my passions. And that was came really close to me pursuing it than basketball, as opposed to basketball, because, wrestling came with no criteria. You just had to be either strong or fast. And I was both of those. It seemed like with basketball, it came with a stigma. You had to be tall, you had to be a certain height or a certain, way a position to play the game. But my calling was just basketball. My passion, and what the good Lord had given me and the understanding of the game. And every time I took the court, I used to have success against, the guys supposed to be the best in that area. And I always felt like if I played against the best, if I had success against the best, I must be included with the best. And that was a big pull. And, of course, Reg and myself being able to have both, having that same dream and understanding that this is what we want, moving forward. And again, we wasn't thinking about pros. We were just thinking about going to college, getting an education and changing their lives in that regard.
And basketball, it's a team game, and you seem such a person who is a leader and also someone who is a glue guy, so to speak. You're very good at bringing people together under one banner, under one idea. And as a wrestler, that's an individual sport largely. And so I could see why, that team aspect and that camaraderie was important to you, I would imagine, as well.
Absolutely. And who knows, but if it wasn't been in the same season, who knows?
Yeah.
What happened? I was really, really passionate about that wrestling. I used to wear all my little pins on my sleeves. So, but I'm glad I made the right decision. Of course, I was a ping pong player too. I love ping pong.
Yeah.
No way, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Barely could see over the table, but I was a good ping pong.
Did the WWF ever reach out to you? Speaking of wrestling, I know, like Dennis Rodman, Karl Malone. There's been other NBA players who. Did you ever have that itch or get asked, or was that not in your realm?
I never got asked, and Ric Flair was a good friend of mine. He lived right around the corner from me. I never got asked, and I never really was tempted to want to take part in that type of wrestling.
Okay, cool.
All right, we have time for 2 more questions here. The first is a fun one from John. I mean, they're both fun ones, but John asks, Muggsy, I heard someone say that the players you stole the ball from should have filed a complaint against you for grand theft basketball. And he includes a smiley face. Do you periodically have contact with those that were the victims of your thefts?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of guys that I played against, we're still friends. That's, when you're on the court, it's no friendship, and that's one thing about our era. We didn't care, how close we were when it came to competition. It was all about competing. And that's what I loved about our era, that, we didn't shake hands with the opponent teams. We waited after the game, after it was all said and done, then you'll see us maybe shaking hands. But other than that, it was all about you against my team and me against your team. So it was nothing about, that friendliness. So, but we all good friends from the,
Yeah.
the I don't even want to. I ain't got to name them names, from the Gary Paytons, the Tim Hardaways, to the Spud Webbs, to the Magics, to all of them. We good friends.
There's a great stories of, not only was Muggsy an excellent one-on-one defender, but he was a great team defender. So that when someone else was dribbling the ball and one of his teammates was guarding that person, he would get his teammate to turn the dribbler so that when the dribbler would turn, and then Muggsy would come behind him and poke the ball away. So he had all these, very cerebral tactics of being a defender, which I learned about, which I was happy to.
Yeah, that was all about survival, being able to keep other guys guessing. And, they always say that if you don't see them, pick it up.
Yeah.
And the last question before we close out the evening is, I was hoping you could actually talk about what you're doing now with the Muggsy Bogues Family Foundation. I know you talked about it in the book in some of the final chapters, but what inspired you to start the foundation, and also what is the foundation doing?
Yeah, I mean, that's my passion, and that's something that I'm thankful to be in this position able to do. All is still from being from my upbringings. My mom always instilled that type of understanding of help those who was less fortunate than you. And once I was able to be in that position to be able to provide these type of resources to these families and these kids that helping them try to live a better quality of life, we're going to try to do our best and our darndest to do that. And we're impacting the community in that regards by addressing the food insecurities and access to a good education as well as job training. We got a lot of partnerships in the community. I partnered with a local trade school, CPCC, where they monitor our scholarships, and so it's a beautiful thing. Just trying to provide these type of resources and for these families and for these kids, because no one should have to make a decision of putting food on their table or being able to put gas in their car. So and then also taking some of the financial responsibility off of their plates, off of these kids' plates, because they got so many loan debts once they finish school. So we can help them to kind of limit that burden. Then I'm all about it.
And you work with vocational schools, getting people to get, which is so great, because there are a lot of charities that do a lot of different things, but I don't think there's a ton that focus on vocational education, which is such an important aspect of a community, a country. Just getting, having a day go ahead properly, and with all the different jobs that are necessary, and getting a society going. And so it's so admirable what you do with your foundation in that way.
Thank you for that. Yeah, everybody can't go to a 4-year university, and everybody being able to go to a trade school to work on a specific, to come right out and walk into that job right away. I mean, it could change the trajectory of their self as well as their family. So I'm all on board in that regards.
4-year institutions are overrated anyway.
You heard it from Jake. Jake said it. Well, I just want to thank you two for your time. This has been wonderful. Thank you, Muggsy. Thank you, Jake. The book is Muggsy, My Life from the Kid in the Projects to the Godfather of Small Ball. It is available at every good bookseller in this country, including ours. We have stacks on our tables. Once again, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. Please be well. We'll have this on YouTube soon, and you're welcome to watch again and again as you please. All right, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night, man. Good seeing you, buddy. Thank you, guys.
Talk to you soon. Peace, everybody. Bye.